Alright, what I did here was I just took a piece of 2-inch PVC pipe and some cardboard from the beer box. I mean, I don't drink beer. And anyway, I laid tuck tape over the inside, or well, I had it laid out. I just laid tuck tape over it, that way it's covered in tuck tape so the epoxy wouldn't stick. And I wrapped it around the 2-inch piece of pipe and gave me my round shape. And what I'm using here is Alumilite Amazing Clear and Eye Candy, I can't remember which green it was, and the Alumilite green dye. That stuff's really potent, that's why I'm taking a little bit at a time. And eventually I couldn't get it right, so I just grabbed the bottle and threw a dab in there. Welcome back, and appreciate y'all watching these things. I don't mind showing what I'm doing. Editing, if you've done YouTube video, editing sucks. Pretty much everything I do is an experiment, just something new all the time, and if it helps somebody else out, so be it. But this is a surprise for a friend of mine, a guy down in Louisiana. Came by and got some cedar and some other stuff, and I took pride in filling the back of that car up because I got more than I need. But anyway, this is for one of his cats that died. His friend hit me up on Instagram and asked me if I would do one. Pretty much gave me free range on what I thought would be cool. Just sent me the claws and whiskers to put in there. Kind of like a urn, frozen in time, I guess you could say, instead of just ashes. So what I've got in mind should come out pretty freaking cool. So I'll show you what I got here. Always. So the other part you saw me casting Alumilite Amazing Clear Plus, which is the one that's got the superior UV resistance. Oh, I'm sorry. This was just Amazing Clear. I used the Amazing Clear Cast Plus on another one. So yes, this is just the Amazing Clear. You can use it in casting depths. I've used it 7 to 8 inches and had one itty bitty crack in it. Excuse me. Clear Slow has its purposes for pieces that have smaller cracks in them, but something like this that's got a lot of voids, not really small cracks, it's great because you can get better swirling out of it, just because it's thicker and it doesn't want to let the mica flakes settle, just from my experience with it. And I've had some Clear Slow come out pretty freaking awesome, but that's what this is. There's the end. Let me use more light. Let's flip you in time lapse and get you going. And I've got a lens covering the camera now. I just can't stop when stuff smacks it and sticks to it. I found especially since I got the wood heater going in my shop, it gets extra staticky and stuff likes to really stick. So what I'm doing here is that whole piece I made or cast, I'm going to use for the top and the bottom of the way the colors aren't off. And what I ended up doing, they sent me a envelope with whiskers and claws and stuff like that. It's pretty sad they lost their cats in the house fire, But I got to looking and I counted 3 whiskers, and it just kind of dawned on me to do 9 valleys, kind of like a lemon juicer or orange juicer. Which, if I did 9, that would mean the 3 whiskers I had, I could do 2 claws on each side, which is kind of like 2 paws on each side of the face. And cats have 9 lives. So that kind of worked out pretty cool. What I've got here is a Kutzall carbide bit. It's the extreme. These little things, they seriously eat some material out. After I got that taken care of, I came back with a regular high-speed steel bit and smoothed it all out. That way it wasn't real messy looking on the inside. And what I ended up doing was taking a Dremel bit, and you can kind of see little indentions in there, but I threw in some CA glue, held it in place with the tweezers, and hit it with some activator to get it to hold in place. And this part wasn't terribly bad. The claws, they kind of did give me a little bit of a fit, just because they wanted to lay down and then rotate, and it wanted to start curing pretty quick, so I had to fight with those, but it wasn't too terrible. Now this was the fun part. I fought these things and fought these things and tried to get them to go straight up as I could without gluing myself to them and ruining them. It ended up coming out alright. I just got a little bit on there and took the metal stem of those containers that I use and drug it up the side. It ended up having a little bit of lean to it, but it worked out okay. And this is the top piece that I did. Pretty much the same way as at the bottom. I gave it a little bit of a ramp look on the inside, and then I carved it out with the carbides. I didn't show the same process with all the dremeling because it's rather boring. And I went back and recast it once all that was done, and the clear in this is actually the amazing clear cast plus from Alumilite. It's got superior UV resistance out of all the epoxies. It does take a little bit longer than the regular amazing clear to set and to get real rock hard, but turning this stuff, it's a dream. I mean, I don't think I've had any blowouts, what I call blowout or chip out. I don't think I've had any of that with this stuff yet. The clear slow, I've had that happen with it some on it, but I guess I need to get some total boat and try it just to see how much harder it is, just for comparison, so I'll know. But from what I've been told, Alumilite is much easier to work. I'll tell you what, I've become very, very good at that lately. Nah, it's grabbing a hold of that end. It's not shaped like a tenon should be for those jaws. Essentially doing some shady stuff that I shouldn't have been doing, and I got what I deserved. So, I just ended up having to take it a little bit easier on it when I was turning it. So, and it all worked out. What I ended up doing was wiping it down with some denatured alcohol, that way the duct tape would stick good to it. And I just kind of use it as a soft grab to be able to turn it and just not get too aggressive with it, so I could work on the bottom and get everything shaped back up a little bit better. Or is this the top? This is the top. In terms of wet sanding, I ended my sanding at 400, but I went back and wet sanded at 400, starting at, just to make sure I got everything nice and good, and worked my way up to 2000 grit. And then this is a 3000 grit foam pad I went over with. Then ended up using some McGuire's polishing paste with a foam buffing wheel. You can get those at pretty much any auto parts store. This is my circle cutting jig, just a piece of 3/4 or 1/2 inch birch plywood. I drilled holes, little divots set from the blade for different size pieces, and this is a 5-inch piece. And I mean, on this Laguna's bandsaw, it's a Laguna 1412. It's, you can't beat it. It saves so much time. This was a square block, as you saw, and starts off round. I ain't gotta worry about beating myself to death or slinging chunks off the corners. So I ended up having an issue with my worm screw not being in there real good all the way. As you can kind of see a little transition, it went from being rounded to unrounded. So I had to rechuck the worm screw and then get it back round. And right now I'm working on turning the mortise into the bottom. That way I can get it chucked up. And what I did was I took my calipers and got the width at the bottom and scored it with those. That way I'll know my width that I needed. And right now I'm just fitting it to size. That way I know, well, when you're fitting something, you're fitting it to sit better. And this is just a simple Woodturning tools diamond tip carbide, and what I'm doing is just making little rings on the inside of it, on the inside, on the edges of it, give it a little bit of texture, a little bit more detail. And this is Watco Danish oil. It's the medium walnut. I figured I'd go with this to give it a little bit more color, which it didn't really give it that much more color. Nothing much more than what the regular Danish oil would have done. Well, this is the final product. Got the little kitty claws and whiskers right there. And if I do another one of these, I'll know to be heavier on the pigment or the mica powder in the epoxy. And you can see the little valleys in there. And this was some feather figured maple. So until next time, see ya.